Oh my god. 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 I just killed the buck of my life. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Went down to the river, washed my sins away, and pray, 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 and pray for another day. I went down to that river, washed my sins for free. The devil's on the other bank, staring back at me. I'm a dead man walking, I'm a dead man walking, I'm a dead man.
This is the story of Froghorn. So Froghorn is a deer that is a very unique and special deer, and he was a deer that we have tracked for literally 4 years. This deer was 5 years old when we killed this buck, and he was just truly one of a kind. He was one of the most special and unique deers that we had ever laid our eyes on, and we knew that if we did not kill him this year, that somebody else would. So let's go back to his first year of growth. So his first year of growth, he had a horn that went straight up and then straight down on the other side, and he was just a spike. He was the most unique spike that we had ever seen. He just had one horn going straight up on one side and another horn going straight down on the other side. So the next year after that, when he was about 2.5 years old, he started growing a little bit of a horns. So he growed a normal side, and it was pretty small, but for the other side, he just grew one that went straight up. He really wasn't nothing special, but we could tell that he was going to be unique, and he was going to be completely different than anything that we had ever seen before. So the next year after that is where things truly start to change. This buck is 3.5 years old, and he is actually starting to put on some decent size. We know that he is nothing, that's going to score crazy, but we know that this buck is going to be just completely unique, and we don't really know what the next year will hold with this buck. So we watched this deer from the time he was a spike till the time that I killed him. And when he was 3.5 years old, he actually bred a doe. Dad got to witness him breeding a doe, and then the whole point of that in this storyline is because now, this year when we killed him, you'll see the pictures, but we actually have pictures of his son. And it's pretty unique that at 3.5 years old, he passed on those genetics to another buck, and then his son looks identical to his dad. Didn't really have much happen that year. We never really seen him much. He would just kind of show up here and there every once in a while. And he was just a young buck, didn't really have any intentions on killing this deer at that moment. So fast forward to last year. This is last season. Last season was a roller coaster of a season. So last year, this buck was 4.5 years old, and he had took a crazy growth spurt into becoming one of the biggest deer that we had on camera. Not only the biggest deer, but one of the most unique bucks that we had ever laid our eyes on. And every year that went by, he just kept getting different and different. And honestly, the more popular that buck got, because keep in mind, this deer is on public land. So this deer had grew just a massive horn on the other side that's always went straight up. It just took a huge growth spurt, and it was massive. He had a brow tine on that side, and then his normal side, which took off completely, he had more of a longer main beam and just probably a little bit more mass, and then he had better G2s and G3s than what he did from the year prior. Just a little bit thicker and more mature of a buck. So last season, like I said, was a complete roller coaster. He was number 1 on our hit list. Now, I would have killed him or shot at him if I seen him. But that entire season, throughout the entire time that I hunted, I never seen that buck, not one single time. And truthfully, that deer was a complete ghost. He hid and hid and hid. We never seen him. Me and my dad may have seen him maybe one time the whole season. And he would come on camera, but he was just never on camera when we was there, or before season came in, when the hunt pressure was just a little bit lower, he was in ever so often. But now he just never came in much. He didn't come out from the timber, or maybe we was just hunting him in the wrong spot. I'm not sure, but last year I actually got a chance at shooting another buck, and he was in full velvet. He was kind of a smaller 8-pointer, but it was one of them things that I knew if I didn't try to kill this deer that I may not ever get to shoot a buck in full velvet ever again. And he was an 8-pointer, shot him, ended up hitting him in the neck, thought it might would have killed him, and he ran off. And once he got in the timber, we started tracking the blood, and we started looking, and then he ended up being jumped by us that night. And then the next morning we came back, and then we followed more blood, found new blood, and then the last pile of blood that we seen, it literally looked like you poured it out into from a bucket, and it was just an insane amount of blood that we found. But the deer ended up living. He ended up coming back on camera about a week later, and he had a scar on his neck. And then this year, funny story, he's actually only got one horn on the side opposite from where we hit him at, and he's got a pretty big main beam for what he is. So that was a funny little story from last year. That's pretty much how my season went, and then never seen Froghorn any at all. I mean, just got pictures of him here and there, but he was just not coming through. Could not find him or anything. He was just one of them deer that was a ghost, but he knew exactly what he was doing. So fast forward to the 2024 hunting season. So the 2024 hunting season, I was super, super excited from the beginning. From as soon as turkey season was over with, all I could think about was this deer, Froghorn. And all I could think about is, man, what is he going to grow into this year? And to be honest with you, I was blown away. I was more shocked than anything. So the first picture we get on camera of him, he comes in camera, and, he's got his normal main beam. And then next thing we know, his side that's really funky grows up, but there's something growing down as well. So we ended up noticing that he has something growing off of that horn as well. And after we ended up killing him, you could see that the horn was growing from the back side and going down. And we was just blown away completely at this deer and what he is growing into being. I mean, he was knocking it out of the park of being the biggest deer that we had on camera. We had not seen anything like that, and to be honest with you, I'd never seen anything like that buck up there the whole time that I've been hunting. As time kept going on, the closer we got to season, me and my girlfriend was up scouting and glassing for this buck. So when we was sitting at, I was looking out in the fields with a spot and scope, and all of a sudden she said, "There's a deer up here." And I turn around, turn the spot and scope towards it, and then all of a sudden, there he was. I mean, just here he is, 3 other deer. Next thing you know, 3 more deer. We literally see 7 bucks run off of that one point that night, and it got me so excited for the 2024 hunting season, because I knew that right there was a honey hole for buck movement. And if I could catch that deer in summer movement, then maybe I would get a chance at Froghorn at that exact spot. So I was looking through the spot and scope at him and just honestly mesmerized by how big of a deer this is. So we kept going up there and glassing more and more, and seeing him just got slimmer and slimmer and slimmer. Closer to hunting season, that's what they tend to do. Don't come out in the open as much. But we knew, and I knew, that if I could get up there and hunt, I would be in a great little spot. So today is today is actually October the 3rd, So just a little update on our buck that we're after up here. So he has been seen one time on camera, and that's been probably 5 or 6 days ago. And where he was at is directly underneath where I'm sitting again. So where I recorded that buck coming out a few weeks ago, I'm back up here again. So I honestly thought that if, he was literally right underneath me where he would have been on that camera. So I figured that if he was there, it wouldn't be nothing for him to walk up through here out in the open. The only problem is I hope that he's not close. Like, I hope he's maybe, 30 yards, 25 yards, because if he's right on top of me, he'll spook, because I simply cannot move. Because where he was at, you go down, we're right back here. So that's what I'm hoping for tonight. Our bigger buck that we've got pictures on camera in a different spot, not got nothing on him in weeks. He came in those 2 nights, and that was the last time we seen him. So it's been about 2 weeks for him. Probably about 3 weeks actually for the bigger buck, and then it's been a week for this guy right here. The wind ain't bad. The wind really ain't blowing much. Temperatures is decent. It's kind of hot today, though, unfortunately. So we're gonna just hope and pray that the Lord makes it happen. Whatever the Lord wants, though, it's the most important thing. Little did I know was going to be my first encounter with this buck, but it didn't go quite the way that I wanted it to. So, as you can see from the videos, I did miss this deer. So this deer, he seen me, I was full drawn, and he knew something was wrong. And I thought in myself, I was like, if I don't take this shot, I might not get another shot ever again at this buck. If I could have went back, I would have never been sitting there in the first spot, or in the first place. I would have been moved, but you gotta learn somehow. Sometimes it's the way you don't want to learn. And I shot at this deer, he ducked, and the arrow just went over his back, and he just took off. And honestly, he acted more like he didn't know exactly what was going on, instead of, spooked. He really wasn't spooked. He was just kind of, he acted like he was confused, truly, on what was going on. And we went and we looked for blood that night. We came back that next morning, that Friday morning, and we looked. Nothing was there. Couldn't find the arrow. Okay, so we just had some crazy experience. He ran off of the hill way over here at the other end of the field. And he came across the field. And he's disappeared. He's just gone. I don't know where he's at. So as you know, he came through, but he came through so far that I never got a shot at this buck. He didn't give me a shot. He didn't give me a chance. He was probably 60 or 70 yards away, and he was not stopping. He was coming from one side of the field all the way to the other side. So, today is October the 5th. This is the next evening after we seen Froghorn again, which is crazy to me to even think about. But something else that happened last night is, so we put out this corn. And it's, like I said in yesterday's video, it was, or yesterday's clip, it was a corn from Somerset. It had like it's just unique and stuff. And last night as I was walking out, I had my stuff ready, and there was a buck eating where that corn was spread. And then I was probably no further than 40 yards away from him, and he just didn't even acknowledge me after he looked at me. And I was walking through the field, walking off. He never ran off. He never blowed or anything, which was insane. But it is 5:33 right now. Kind of getting an early start, which is good. I like early starts. So I wasn't really seeing anything I wasn't seeing nothing at all in those last few hunts, and I just kept coming back, because I knew that any minute now it could happen. So on October the 23rd, which was the day of me killing this deer, I only had about 40 minutes of hunting light to hunt. And I thought to myself, it can happen in 40 minutes or it can happen in 10 minutes. You know, it may not happen tonight, but there is a chance that it could happen tonight as well. So I drove around the long way first, and I was going to watch a field. Once I got there, I was like, I'm going to go up here and watch this rock that I usually sit and where I glass. Then once I got there, I changed my mind again and decided I'm just going to go on and I'm just going to hunt, because who knows what can happen. Something kept telling me that, man, this might be the night that you kill him. You know, you only got like 40 minutes of hunting light left, but that could be all it takes. And that's one of the stories that that's one of the things that I've completely learned from this, is if you have like 40 minutes of hunting light left, get up there and go after that buck. So I get up there, get set in, and it was like 7 o'clock. You know, it was like 6 something, probably about 6:15 when I got set up, and then nothing happened all the way up until about 7 o'clock. And at 7 o'clock, I was looking down at my phone, and then I look up, and there he was.
Oh my god, 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 I just killed the buck of my life. Oh my god, 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 oh, praise you Lord, praise the Lord, praise the Lord, oh, 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 oh my god.
So we ended up tracking that deer that night, and we instead of finding the arrow first thing or finding blood, we completely walked past it, and we kind of got a little bit of doubt into our heads, because we was like, man, this ain't looking good. We couldn't find no blood, we couldn't find no arrow at first. And then I decided to walk back up, and then all of a sudden there it was, covered in blood, was my arrow. And I knew from that arrow, I knew it had to be a good hit. And I knew from the sound that it made when I hit the deer and the little mule kick that it done afterwards, I knew that it was a good hit. So I got the arrow, told everybody, we all gathered back up at the arrow, and then we started tracking for more blood. Found little drops here and there until we got up on a little flat spot and started walking an old road out. And then all of a sudden, blood was everywhere. I'm talking just like pouring out. And you can tell there was one spot specifically where he stood there and it just poured out the side of him, because it was all over the ground. And it was like that the whole way down until we found him. This deer probably only ran about 65, 70 yards, if that. And Papa, which has killed many bucks in his lifetime, he was like, this looks like a liver shot, you know, because it's dark red blood. But thankfully, it ended up going through one lung and catching the bottom of another lung. So it did double lung, thankfully. And we kept walking, tracking that blood. It just kept pouring and pouring. And I knew that there was no way that this deer could be living. You know, I knew he would die here soon if he ain't already dead. So I kept tracking that blood, and then all of a sudden, I just walked right up on him, and there he was. He quite literally looked like he just laid down and died. And it was one of the craziest things that I've ever experienced in my life, and it was awesome. So this right here, we kind of got in a little pickle at first because we did not see any blood, but as you can tell, story's over with. 4 years of this deer. 5 years old, but 4 years of watching this deer grow into the monster that he is now. From pictures of him being a spike, literally with one horn straight up and one horn straight down off each side. And then he just got bigger and bigger every year. And then last year he could have died, but you know, the Lord had other plans for this buck. It's crazy. This deer is so much bigger in person than what I could have ever imagined him to be. Spent countless hours just after this deer, hundreds of dollars probably in gas trying to come up here and see this deer, and just one trip right after another. Probably one of the biggest roller coasters of a buck that I've ever been after. From shooting him on a Thursday, coming up here Friday morning and realizing it was a miss, to being up here Friday evening and seeing him again, and then about a month later, just of not seeing him at all, nobody seeing him, he just showed up tonight. It was one of them nights that I didn't have but about 40 minutes of actual time to hunt, and I knew that if I didn't get up here and try to make every second count, I wouldn't be holding this buck right now. I'm more in shock than anything. Like, it's not fully set in that I've laid a buck that I've chased for 2 years now down, but watched for 4 years. This is crazy. This is one of the craziest things that I've ever experienced. Also, not too long ago, I killed my first ever deer with a bow, and now this was my first ever buck with a bow. Crazy at what can happen in 40 minutes. So that right there was truly a once-in-a-lifetime type of buck. I mean, I was in complete awe of that deer. I mean, when I put my hands on that deer, I knew he was going to be big, but my goodness, in person, he is just a different animal. He's just a different type of big, and it was such a surreal moment. And honestly, I felt so undeserving of that buck, but I'm telling you, I felt so blessed that after all of this hard work that we have put in truly for this deer, the hundreds of hours that we've put in for glassing for this deer and hunting for this deer, the money spent on gas and food, like quick food, just going to be able to go hunt. It's been insane, but it was one of the funnest journeys and the funnest rides that I had ever been on. And truly, I could not have asked for a better story, a better ending. I mean, everything just worked out perfectly. And this is one of those type of stories that honestly, when I killed this deer, the only thing I could truly think of was like, this is like, you know, I've been praying about this deer all season. I was like, Lord, I really want to kill this deer. And I'd been praying and praying, and I was starting to get a little confused on why I wasn't even seeing anything. And after I killed this deer, it was one of those things where you feel like God is just telling you, you know, like, trust in my timing. And that's exactly how I felt, because that's exactly kind of the thing that I needed to hear at that moment as well. So I'm just truly so blessed and so honored and thankful that I was the one to get to take this buck. This buck has lived an incredible life. He has had an incredible journey. He is very, very, very popular of a buck, and I hope that this story right here actually increases his popularity, because a buck of that caliber, truthfully, he deserves it. You know, he has survived public land, he's survived road hunting and poaching. He's one of the smartest deer that I've ever seen, and thankfully the Lord just blessed me that day. You know, I could hear him telling me, just go hunt, you know, go sit in that spot, you know. This might be all it takes is just 40 minutes, and I'm sure thankful that I did. I'm sure thankful that I listened to that voice of him telling me to go hunt, and I'm so blessed. I cannot express how blessed I feel, but that has been the story of Froghorn. Hope that you guys enjoyed. God bless.